Performance reviews and improvement. Performance reviews at workplace in today's corporate culture are used to hand out employee bonuses, increments, or promotions. There are many aspects of the process that leave most new employees frustrated and many experienced ones in a state of eternal despair. During such performance reviews, it's typical of certain team members in your team to score consistently low ratings year after year, while other consistently high. Let me try to decode why this happens and how you may be able to correct it for yourself or for your team members. These are my observations from watching the more successful peers versus the less successful ones over the years from the various organizations I've been a part of. First of all, let's define the framework of a typical performance review process. There are five phases: the objective setting phase, the objective monitoring or correction mid year review, the objective monitoring Q3 phase, the objective reporting phase at the end of the year, and the performance normalizing phase. Most often, people think that meeting the objective set out through the process is the way to win this game. I have to be the bearer of bad news. If not equally important, perhaps more important are the aspects of how you set and achieve your objectives. Attitude is the name of the game. Here is the winning attitude I've seen through the phases mentioned above. The objective setting phase. Where do goals or objectives come from? In most functional organizations, this is how goals are set. CEOs and board sit together to discuss how to move the business forward in the year. Their objectives are based on maximizing revenue, increasing market share, improving brand value, increasing CapEx spending in profitable areas, cutting costs in less profitable areas, acquiring key skills organically or by acquisitions, etc. Based on the specific areas and type of activities planned for the year, key process indicators to measure the progress are defined. Objectives are set for the business for the year. Most of these are set with longer term visions in mind for the business. When they're not, workers or management may get incentivized to work counter to longer term goals, or the business and can become a problem. Information of objectives and KPIs are typically explained in investor calls as well as in SEC filings like the 10K. As the goals get trickled down through the organization's various management rungs, the KPIs are further decomposed to other actionable KPIs relevant to each department, finally reaching the employee. Typically, this entire process of trickling down takes about 1 to 2 months. Monitoring the news on your organization, attending the various all hands meetings, general awareness of the market, news releases from the company, all help you to tune into what other business challenges your organization is facing already by the time the goals are trickled down. Introspect on various aspects of areas where your boss or manager is incentivized to improve on. How many of these are relevant to your job sphere of responsibilities? During goal setting discussions, it's important to make sure you're communicating two critical things. One, you understand the business challenges and that here is how you can contribute. Two, that you're not scared of stretch goals. This step done right helps communicate your seriousness on the performance reviews. Here are some tips. While making goals, if goal titles are not already trickled down by process, then keep these generic because it's customary for details set between January and March in a year to change by November or December. Include KPIs and thresholds, quantifying your goal activities and provide distinct metrics. Right? Leave room for learning. Even in learning, I'm typically selective to ensure there is more of items that increase my skills and generally are transferable from one company to another than, let's say, learning a particular corporate process. Include a goal that aligns with data retention or training. I typically have something to document critical processes or critical project activity. Now, the next two phases: the objective monitoring or correction mid-year review, and the objective monitoring third quarter phase. These phases are critical for measuring and monitoring your process, to the goals. Broadly, there may be opportunities depending on how organizations handle this phase to even course correct through editing or even eliminating and appending goals. Hopefully, during the course of the year, your documenting process has been good and you can pull examples of activities you have completed or are in the process of completing at these junctures. Here is an example I follow. My data is divided into folders in my work computer by the year that I worked on the things. So 2022 has a folder, 2023 has a folder, etc. The work is then divided into folders like engineering, issue resolution, management, process, references, etc. Within each of these above folders, there are subfolders with items I've worked on. Each subfolder typically has a record of info I gathered working on that particular item, and more importantly, it carries the output file. The output file is a PowerPoint, a Word document, or an Excel file that describes the business problem and the outcomes of the activities carried out during the course of my work on that item. During reviews, I carry these output files as an example to use in conversation with my managers. I split the phase 2 and phase 3 as two separate activities because most often I've seen people ignore or downplay the importance of third quarter review phase. If promotion is one of the things you're focused on for your near term future, then step 3 is a phase not to miss in driving this point through a carefully prepared review. I've seen organizations meet in the months anywhere from August to October to discuss promotions. Preferably, your step 3 review or your phase 3 review with your managers need to happen before these HR discussions. It is an opportunity to remind your management that you have been putting in the effort for that promotion, and most importantly, to remind them of your achievements, which they may consider to remind their chain of management as they appeal on your behalf for the said promotion. Aside from promotion opportunities, this is also a time to solicit feedback from your manager on your program, on your progress, and also seek help if in a certain few areas you're facing challenges accomplishing your goals. Phase 4, the objective reporting phase. Hopefully, if you have your documentations done right through the year, this phase is going to be easy to prepare for. Assimilate three or four impactful examples of your activities under each goal. Create a list in Excel or PowerPoint with links to relevant output files. Ensure the KPIs are reported fairly. If there are circumstances that caused you to deviate significantly on the goals, track and explain reasons, not excuses. Right? Remember that these are examples that your manager will use on your behalf of you when talking to his peers and his management when vouching for you on why you deserve that promotion, raise, or bonus. Phase 5, the performance normalizing phase. Since most managers will try to maximize their own department's activities in the eyes of their management at the end of the year, it's more often than you think that a normalizing process takes place. During the process, over 50% of the employees will see their reviews lower. However, if the manager has fresh in their mind or has a way to easily browse through your achievements from stage 4, chances are you won't be in the group that gets their review scores slashed. Typical causes for desperation or frustration I've seen with employee performance reviews are as follows. 1. Lack of setting expectations of performance reviews in general earlier in the year. Not clearly communicating these higher level professional goals with management. Lack of understanding the business context of your goals and its relevant to higher level corporate goals. Starting out with easily accomplishable goals, achieving which leads to no increase in your oomph factor. If you're looking at a promotion to a people leadership position, then not including team improvement objectives. Lack of defining a metric or KPI to track your goals with and to establish thresholds for minimum achievement, full achievement, and overachievement. Here is a link that I'm attaching at the bottom of this to help you with defining KPIs. But I have to caution you, for creating KPIs matter and are not easily transferable as experience has shown me. As an example, I've seen organizations use the number of days it took to address a change notice as a relevant metric. I've also seen at times the volume of change notices as a metric being used. As a technical manager for my sphere of work, I felt costs associated with the change notices were a more important metric to track. And again, not addressing business need changes through the mid-year and quarter three, not soliciting feedback from peers and management on progress and expectations of various activities tied to your goals through the process, claiming accomplishments where involvements were minor. This is borderline lying as far as I'm concerned, and I typically omit such activities on paper. I trade these uh, to focus more on activities where my involvement was critical to the success or progress of a task. Lacking in communication of key achievements because you're not prepared for the review. Not anticipating your manager's peer reviews and normalizing process that happens in the background. Very often, I've seen managers comment at the start of the year that they're not very particular about the performance review process itself, and that as long as the work keeps progressing without hindrances, this is okay from their perspective. Having read through the above steps, you can probably guess that an employee who ensures his work progresses and has evidence to prove his direct involvement in the tasks will have more chances of scoring higher on their reviews. So far, I've talked about how to work towards getting a good review. However, after doing all the steps, if you still receive a lower review than you expected, I have a tool for you. It's called the Lominger's 67 traits. Eaton did an amazing work explaining 67 Lominger traits in the context of corporate culture. I'm adding that link as well to the bottom of this. The reason I recommend this tool is because failure of well executed performance reviews typically happens when there are fundamental flaws through misunderstandings or miscommunications between involved parties. As a manager, I've used the tool to provide formal and informal feedback to employees during the course of a year to ensure I'm properly communicating expectations of them. Similarly, I've used this tool to work with team members on official performance improvement plans. Both have yielded great results in the past. It is a great tool for self improvement as well. You may use this tool to introspect and find areas where improvements make sense for you, recognizing your areas of weaknesses and fixing them. Job interview application. When asked about goal setting during an interview, I use the processes mentioned above with an example of how I set a goal, developed the KPI, monitored the KPI, and finally achieved the goal. The response is even better if the goal example set in a year specifically has connections to my overarching career or professional goals. Now, here is a super tip. In my typical work year, I see almost 46 weeks of work, some slow, some fast. On average, I've observed myself make about 3 to 5 good and critical decisions per week and send about 20 emails and receive or read about 50 emails. This ends up being about 150 to 200 decisions I took through the year, from which I parse through and find 15 to 20 critical relevant decisions to showcase during my reviews. In numbers, this is very possible as long as you start right, document right, and then prepare well for the reviews. So, tell me, how do you do your goal settings?